unmuted now, Omar.
No, I'm not gonna say it
now. You gotta relax, buddy. You gotta relax.
I was definitely wondering if I was gonna make it or not, though.
Welcome to a medium energy impact introduction for Warhammer 40K Rogue Trader. Oh fuck! This isn't Rogue Trader. It's okay.
There's a medium energy.
Yep.
Warhammer 40K Imperium Maledictum
Rapidly
Titanslair
dropping.
Season 2, Episode 2. Can you guys work with me for 5 seconds? I just want to get through introductions.
Did we not just discuss how we are all a bunch of smartasses? I just want to throw that out there.
All right. The first scene we have is a series of short clips with a bunch of vine booms and other viral media noises. They are almost all of Robert from her point of view, like a body cam view. The first one that we see is her very obviously hanging on the back of the mole, you know, like crab walking on the mole. As the mole is moving several hundred miles an hour under the earth, she, in order to be transported by it, is on the back end of it, hanging on the outside, flattened against it. So you're watching a darkened tunnel with night vision goggles just going by at hundreds of miles an hour. And the Inquisitor is just clicking through Robert, like hanging from the ceiling, evading security drones and like pressure plated floors, everything the Adeptus Mechanicus has set up in order to track people's movement through the facility. And the Inquisitor is just like, if you wish to become an Inquisitor at this school for Inquisitors, this interrogator's action is the minimum level we are expecting. You must set this as your new standard. Our observation of this rogue trader's crew will elevate your mind. You need to understand that this is the most common disguise of an Inquisitor, is to pretend to be a rogue trader. Yet so many Inquisitors fail at the most basic step of acquiring capital and attempting any measure at all of disguising themselves. Through the random antics of this crew, which we will continue to present to you, your training will become more complete. However, you must also recognize the sacrifices of the interrogators who have brought us this information. Many interrogators died during the filming of this series.
As soon as you said that, I was like, oh, please, please, please.
Interrogator Robert was one of the finest interrogators we have on record, and her memory will always hang high in these halls, under strict classification records. As he continues to talk, the camera is still flipping through like scenes we've already seen. It's just in reverse. Like the you and the mole is like the furthest along scene, and it's going all the way back to you guys getting off of the shuttle. As our camera zooms in on the CRT monitor that they're projecting these images, we cut to a very obvious wide establishing shot of New Zealand pretending to be Great Britain in a Lord of the Rings style manner, the Shire-ish sort of manner of these beautiful rolling hills full of fields. We see a bunch of farmers who are out like using hand power tools, not like giant tractors or anything, but they're using like chainsaw size or something ridiculously imperial about it. And there's skulls on everything. They're all dressed, you know, very folksy, Britishy, 17 and 1800s-ish, but they also just have like a nice little skull collar insignia. And the music is very, you know, Shire-ish. Da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da. Power sickles? Yeah, there's a guy out there with power sickles. What's that thing? The thresher, where they cut lawns with the thresher?
The scythe is the two-handed big long one. The sickle's the little hand piece.
Yes, but I want to imagine there's someone out manually threshing, but it's also a chain thresher. So there's no reason they should be working it like this, but they still do.
The Death Guard had power sides.
Perfect. Now we know where they get them from this agri world. And so Every part of this seems like a 720p 24 hertz. Like, you're definitely watching a TV series for sure as we're watching this. This is not like live footage of anywhere.
A scan line goes through the screen.
Here it is. There, now it's Warhammer 40K.
Just like the old school VHS.
We cut to, again, another establishing shot of like a small traditional English church made out of, like stone and mortar and such, built into the agricultural side of like a hill. It's almost like a mound in a way. And we can see that there's a man with like a farmer's straw hat. He's trying to hold it in place as he hops along the road to the front of the church. We cut to the inside of the church. We hear a very computerized buzzing noises. We can see that there's several servo skulls just floating around and like a little cherub baby thing also floating around. We could see that there's a man wearing like a traditional Anglican vicar's outfit, but instead of the formal collar, he's got the omnisciic machine god symbol of the split man machine as he's attaching there, and the screen says parish and perils. But instead of parish with a P, it's a parish with an A. As he's like, oh. And then when the camera goes up to his face, like every part of him has seemed very human so far, wearing black robes. And then when it goes up to his face, he grabs a red cloak that now looks like the robes of the priests of Mars. And from the hood of it, all we can see is one red glowing cybernetic eye. The man bursts through the front doors and he says, "Oh, Vicar! Vengeance here, Vicar! Oh, there's been a murder! There's been a murder! The combi scythe! It's out there, it's cut, and it cut someone's leg off and it killed them." We see the man turn and he picks up a huge tome and he says, "Be at ease, my son. Heresy and heretic may be around, but the machine spirit shall move through us all with motive force." And then it goes into a sort of like intro sequence for a crime fighter, investigation solving country vicar of the Adeptus Mechanicus, and that's what this TV series is about. It obviously ran for 6 seasons and is exceedingly popular,
with 2 made-for-TV movies.
It's like
one set before and one set after.
Did you watch Agatha All Along, AP?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like the first opening sequence in that, where it's like the detective show. Yeah. Did you say combi scythe?
Yeah, combi scythe.
Okay,
it's a
so
scythe that's
with
2 scythes. Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was a scythe with an integrated bolter. Because usually combi means an integrated bolter.
No, that would be way cooler, but no, it's a scythe that's 2 scythes.
Is it like a shotgun axe?
No, it's just a scythe with 2 scythes. It's both sides of the scythe.
No, when he said the bolter with the scythe on it, I was just thinking shotgun axe that one of the characters in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was making a big deal about for like half a season.
I mean, there are real life examples of shotgun axes, and they're basically horrible. They're just bad.
That's one of the that's one of the best things about playing.
The bolter's on it, so when the random nerdling comes over to try to get into the chicken coop, they can take some shots at it and then go back to their work.
That's one of the best things about playing Custodes is when you tell your opponent you're shooting your axes at it.
We're in a mood today, guys. We're in a mood.
Yeah. There's energy. We're just not sure what kind.
We cut back to the present, which is Velamris looking over the limited edition box set, all 6 seasons and 2 movies of Perish and Peril, with a signed by the creator of the show.
Oh hell yeah!
On the front of the box set.
I think there's some weird part of Velamris is like, hey, this is omnicide, but you know what? This is dumb. I'm gonna watch it. I think that's what it is. It's the dumb. Not like dumb violence, but like just the absurdity of some of the things that happens.
Wow,
but of course, everybody at
40K?
40K is absurd, so the absurdity scale is way shifted. So it just makes sense.
Cool. You say that, and you purchase it from the giant floating airship that lands and lets all of you off. As you can see, just for a bit of absurdity scale, 20 huge night carriers descending from the atmosphere, dangling Imperial Knights beneath them. The Imperial Knights are burning from the atmospheric reentry. And you're like, this isn't absurd. This is very normal in our world.
This very realistic TV show.
You can see that there are over 1 million Adeptus Mechanicus cultists who are gathered on this island. They are all moving exactly to row and a seat within the row of bleachers that are clearly still being set up by a giant bleacher setting machine that has its own Magos who appears to oversee the bleachers. You all have been assigned to a specific set of bleachers, row and seat. However, it does involve imaginary numbers. For instance, Velamris is seated at seat 49I in row J. It's a little engineering joke. Don't worry about that one.
I don't even know where to go because I struggle with real numbers, let alone imaginary numbers.
Yeah, so imaginary numbers are pretty well, but I is the theoretical square root of -1, right? Normally, you wouldn't be able to square a negative number because it would become positive, except if you just pretend that I is a magical thing that lets you do that, you get to do a lot more math in engineering.
So mathematicians making up their own bullshit rules to be able to continue doing bullshit mathematics.
Yeah, exactly. Got it. You take any seat, James? Is this like you picking up food from the lunch?
No, I said any seat in row N.
Oh, in row N. Okay.
Maybe
N or N plus 1 or N plus 2 or...
Well, isn't N infinity in engineering?
It can be. It certainly can be. You all have assigned seating. Just to be clear.
I'm gonna make sure I get a nice gift bag for my box set, and then I'm gonna make.
I heard that the show went downhill in season 5 when they changed the main actor after the first actor got servitorized.
That's totally something that would happen too. He was servitorized because he was found drunk at one point.
Really?
He was drinking the communal axle grease.
We're in a mood.
Are we seated together or like
yes, you are seated together.
Okay.
So is this like a Troopy of the Colors or something?
So you can see what's happening is that what's the movie about the giant super mechs that defend the Pacific Rim?
Yeah.
You're getting Pacific Rimmed right now, where like from out of the ocean you can see the local Titan Legion is like emerging with coral and like seaweed all over it. And as this is happening, like flying units, like flying platforms are like going around and like scrubbing it down and removing all of the debris. The knights are coming down and they're like landing in a landing zone that has been set aside to like, so each knight will stand before a Titan. Wow, James. Wow.
Yeah. You said Pacific Rimmed, and I was just like, ooh, man, I gotta keep my mouth shut.
You guys proud of yourselves right now?
You know I'm proud of them. They're doing the work.
You guys are having fun, and that's really all that matters, right? You know what I mean? What am I worried about?
The audience is having fun too. I did post it into Zoom chat rather than audience chat because it was,
I appreciate that. I appreciate that for sure. There's so many other ways you could have made it worse as well. You see that the commander of the entire planet, HTAC 617, Reclamator of the Cardinal Altar, Archmagos of this world, Imperial Commander, etc., etc., is on a, like, Baron Harkonnen style harness floating, like, 10 meters above the assemblage. They are just a giant blob, like literally spherical, of red robes and like dripping liquids and too many arms. mechadendrites, tendrils, cables, but also multiple human arms, more than 2, which is a little confusing. And HTAC617 says, "Honored knights of the Questa Mechanicus, welcome to Titanslair." And then it echoes, Titanslair, Titanslair. "You stand upon a world steeped in history, a planet where the spirit of the Omnisire, and the might of the machine are one. Here, amidst these hallowed halls, we stand ready to reforge alliances, renew sacred oaths, and prepare for the great battles that await us. As the forge fires of Titanslair roar ever brighter." And when that happens, all of the Titans raise their arms up, and you can see that they are discharging 2 companies of Skitarii out of their feet. Like, doors are opening on the sides of the Titans, and Skitarii are coming out with, like, parade arms in formation, marching to form 2 blocks. As this speech is happening, the Knight transports are all setting the Knights down. The Knights come down Superman-style 3-point landing, and any of them that have a sword drive it several feet into the ground. The whole, like, your bleachers are definitely absorbing the shock impact of multiple Titans moving and dropping Knights from the sky, but, like, you're like, oh my god, earthquake, the whole time this is going on. "Your presence is not one of mere formality. You, the chosen warriors of the Adeptus Mechanicus, are entrusted with a purpose that transcends mortal understanding. Your knights bring with them the power of the machine god incarnate, and it is through your strength and motive force that we shall meet the galaxy's challenges head on. We stand together, bound by will, fates intertwined in the pursuit of knowledge, power, and sanctity. The Titans of this world shall rise in unison with your knights, forging a bond as unbreakable as diamonds, a union that will drive us to triumph in the face of darkness that encroaches around us." As that happens, you see one of the knights, like, rises with his sword and goes, "It is to you, Magos, and your Titans that we pledge our oaths renewed once again. We, the Knights of the Questa Mechanicus, House Veroth, pledge the princeps to your knights once more. We shall forever be the blades that ward off danger." When this happens, there's just a fuck ton, like literally 1,000,000 people speaking Binaric at once. And like a bunch of people immediately stand up in unison and turn right or left at the same time and begin flooding out of the bleachers.
I guess that means we go to.
Do I understand enough binary to have picked up any of that?
Let's make a roll.
I choose to believe that Titan's Warhorn sounds like the Reaper noise from Mass Effect.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Wait, hold on. Let me check the thing real quick.
Yeah, so while everybody's shuffling off,
the...
just to be really clear, like, people are like, the ceremony is over, time to get back to work. And in the background, like, Titans are shifting their weight colossally, affecting the gravity of the planet. Like, ancient Imperial Knights are, like, slowly rising, pulling their sword out, one hand, like, cleaning the end of the sword with a cloth, reattaching it to a belt, and then sheathing the sword. You know, like a 50-foot tall Imperial Knight that dwarfs you. Like, you're like, I've literally never seen anything as grand as this. And these guys are like, all right, back to work. Coffee break's over.
Yeah, I think Velamris is... I think one thing that you were describing, that some of them were coming out of the sea, and then they had other flyers like pulling like the seaweed and ocean trash off. And I was like, Velamris was like, that actually looked really cool. No, don't take that off. Leave it there. It looks even... All right, whatever. I guess you're going to take it off now. And then when everybody starts to get up, I think Velamris is kind of slow because maybe he's forgotten some of the Adeptus cues that he used to, live by. So he doesn't get up right away. He's like, oh yes. And then he stands and he grabs his little gift bag of TV show.
Okay,
What was the name of that show? Perish and Peril?
Perish and Peril. Yep.
Okay.
I did spend the XP to pick up the linguistic specialization for binaric.
Sure. Go ahead. Make your roll.
Don't forget, you got 5 points.
Yeah. I'm gonna
Classic
First roll of the
first
game.
episode. First
Right,
episode.
yeah,
roll,
classic.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
use them at
tradition.
least. You got to use at least 3.
Well, hopefully, I don't have to use 3 on one roll, but I might.
+0 is a success.
I'm just trying to understand directions. I'm happy with succeeding.
Yeah, so the people around you have essentially assumed that you don't speak enough binaric, and they're just like, wow, what a great ceremony. This is the greatest ceremony I've ever attended. What an honor to see all of the Titans together all at once. And then somebody else is just like, the presence of the outsiders who don't speak binaric has truly ruined this ceremony. I strongly feel the entire ceremony should have been performed in the language of the Omnissiah. And the first guy's like, we must make accommodations for our close allies. I hear that they have donated weather control satellites. The second one goes, I see. Well, that does make up for their accommodation, but perhaps not for their smell. They're so incredibly organic. The smell of them is organic as well. The first one goes, I have no contest for that. Now, just to be clear, that entire conversation took place in half a second.
Yeah, I'd like to turn to them and say, I did appreciate the accommodations. My first viewing of Titans at all was truly awe-inspiring.
The two of them stop walking away, turn, and just imagine in robes flowing, ominously moving towards you, very Nazgul style. The first one says in High Gothic, I see you speak our language. My apologies, my lord rogue trader servant. I did not realize you could understand the great language. I offer you greatest humble respects. And the second one goes, your smell may be offensive, but yours is less offensive than that of your comrades. You keep yourself well, biological entity.
Meanwhile, Velamris is like, I caught a little bit of that. And I caught a little bit of that. Oh, he switched to High Gothic. I know less of that than I do binaric.
Like, oh, great, now I can't follow it all.
I feel like they're channeling Agent Smith. It's the smell. There is such a thing. I feel saturated by it.
If there
Every
was
time I
ever
taste this-
a Adeptus Mechanicus member, I think Agent Smith would definitely make a fine Magos.
I understand that the limitations of our flesh can be difficult to be around. It is the least I can do to try to understand.
The first one goes, very well. This conversation has been terminated. And both of them turn as one and begin shuffling out of the bleachers.
The ceremony's over. It's time for us to leave.
Yeah, Velamris, by this point, obviously, Velamris is standing up. He's like, really thought there was going to be a weapons demonstration, but maybe I misunderstood things.
I think that, Rassie, you are picking up that, like, there is a weapons demonstration, and perhaps you guys aren't, like, dismissed or anything. These Titans are about to begin doing, like, an honor, like, firing thing for the incoming knights. You know, like, let off all their cannons one by one.
A salute.
And there are other parts to this ceremony that can't... this is probably what you pick up on a +0. There are other parts of the ceremony they can't do while you guys are here, right? It's a literally private religious affair. You have arrived for the public-facing part that they can show you because you're honored allies. And then as soon as you leave, they're going to get back to the secret stuff. You know, the real Illuminati, stonemason shit that goes on in the back when you're not looking.
Yeah. But there probably will be more. But this was the part that we were welcome for.
Yeah.
Which is still, I've never seen a Titan before. This was incredible.
Yes. And then Velamris will sit back down, expecting them to start shooting again. or start shooting, I should say.
Oh, we are currently being an inefficiency for them right now.
Yeah, so you see Gifanovius, your translator who's been assigned to you. He has like ultra thick black goggles on and like enormous sound dampening headset on, and he's speaking strangely. He's like, "Sorry, I can't hear myself right now. You aren't wearing any protective equipment. You should leave right now."
Did you bring enough?
He's looking, "I'm sorry, I can't hear you."
Yeah, take them off. Like you can ring
Yes,
my
your
lips.
head will explode.
Velamris.
I'm gonna reach
Let's
over
go.
there. I'm just gonna take it off his head
Oh my
gently,
God.
mind you. And I'm gonna be like, "Did you bring enough for everybody?
What? Why would I bring enough for everyone?
You thought to bring it up for you, and didn't think that maybe we might need to be
My
reminded."
personal safety equipment was assigned to me by my supervisor.
That's a fair point. I digress. Here,
I
you can have these
can't
back.
do my... Okay, you put it back on his head, and he starts
No,
talking.
I won't
He
put it
talks
back on.
strangely as soon as it's back on.
I
He's
feel
like,
like that's insulting, so I'm going to give them back to him
yes.
and let him do it.
He is actually, like, trying to goad you to, like, slightly back away, move away.
He's following.
You can feel something happening in the air around you. It's like there's
probably
a
a weapon system
gathering of
warming up.
energy.
You know what? I'm going to take off my top hat,
Yeah,
put on my helmet and seal it, and
Yeah.
then like,
that's a good call.
and I'm going to deafen myself
Okay.
while I'm looking away and shoving him up the stairs because I don't want to hear this. If Velamris has made us stick around probably a bit too long.
I'm following. I am following. I have nothing. I could close my eyes and stick my fingers in my ears, but that's about it. But I feel like Velamris, I mean, he's not got any stat losses or anything, but he's probably like kind of sort of lost some hearing from all the shooting he's done.
Each Titan moves to its paired knight and then begins firing off one of its enormous weapons over the Titan's shoulder. I'm sorry, over the knight's shoulder, almost as if it's doing like kapow,
Igniting.
kapow. And yeah, like in the process, one of the plasma weapons is discharging, and Rassie, even in your sealed and deafened helm, the vibration coming through your armor up your body's bones into your head is like literally deafening. The firing of one of these things, just being within a few 100 feet of it, is horrifying for your body. And like every time something fires, the grass in the local area is like...
So how bad is it for the two of them?
It's quite bad for them. They're both deafened.
What?
It is a sight to behold, watching these Titans move and fire. Even the Imperial Knights are still a level of warfare that perhaps none of you have ever encountered in person. But there's something almost inhuman in the way they move. The Titans don't move, you know, like very limbically. They move mechanically, arms lock in place, fire. It takes a short time to reload. But the Knights move almost human-like in the way that they smoothly and organically make their changes in motion. It's almost like watching someone just move slowly, and yet each of their footsteps, while looking quite slow, covers enormous distance.
I think other than being deafened and disoriented from that, Velamris is just enthralled, amazed at how truly awesome this sort of display is. Because this is indeed something far beyond anything he may have ever imagined of warfare. Because when most people probably think of warfare, a whole slew of people and vehicles and whatnot blasting each other. We've got these giant building-sized vehicle robots with basically naval weaponry just annihilating each other on the battlefield. I mean, obviously, they're not shooting each other here, but this is he starts to see this whole new level of combat, and he's just like utterly lost and amazed. In a figurative sense, the deer in the headlights. Some of the plasma cannons are probably pretty bright, so maybe literally deer in the headlights. And somewhere, if for those that might be able to hear him, he's like, "This is just so awesome."
I would like all of you to make a whatever passes for awareness or perception at -30.
Awareness passes for awareness.
Sure.
Yes. And what does my...
And I run a lot of systems, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is it site-based?
It is site-based.
In that case, I have extra vigilant, +1 SL to test to detect hidden enemies suffering no penalties from unconsciousness or blinded conditions while sleeping. That last part doesn't matter. So can I, with that extra vigilant, do I get like any less of a modifier?
No, I don't think so.
So I forgot the -30, but that would take me to -1. So I could it would take me to -0. So even spending a fate point wouldn't get me up to a success.
Oof.
It's very bright here.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Okay. You follow Tiphanovius back to your transport, which is your little mole digger. And, you know, there's basically no way to communicate with each other right now, but he's just like standing there. You
I
can
have a data
see...
slate. I can write on it.
I'll take my helmet off and put my top hat back on.
Okay.
Now that we're out of the area. I take it he takes his PPE
You're really
off.
not out of the area. Like, you're just moving several hundred feet away. There's still enormous battle machines.
If my bones are vibrating, the helmet's still on.
Okay.
My bones are vibrating.
Nearby, you can see that HTAC 617 is sort of hovering and having a discussion with someone who like isn't wearing robes. They're clearly a human, a biological human covered in cybernetics, specifically a lot of them sprouting from their spine. And the two of them are having a discussion looking out over this line of Titans and the Knights. They clearly notice you, and if you want to go over and talk to them, it doesn't look like they'll turn you away, but you're also not like invited to the discussion. It's just available if you want it. You do also have your ability to go anywhere in the system, make more appointments if you'd like to, and you have a scheduled meeting with Magos Betectro Nelt Jzith, Alchemist of the Sanctified Uplink, 200 kilometers below the surface at your leisure.
If it looks like they're welcoming but not inviting, I do think I want to ask a question.
Okay.
I do have a quick question I want to ask above board. I know the last session we had, we met with the lady for the sizing, and the sizing was actually meant for Mercutio.
Yep.
And I had attempted to send that message to him.
Yep.
To update her, let him know about it. And then the comms officer was getting persnickety. I don't remember if that message actually made it to Mercutio, or if I needed to try a different route.
After the ceremony, you're checking your data slate, and you have received a whatever the Warhammer 40K version of text messages. You've received a status update from acting, agent of the rogue trader Mercutio Borghese, insofar as he acknowledges receipt of your message.
I get a text message, read receipt. Is what I get.
No, it's from him saying that he will arrange privately with Magos Alpha 5TAC Hus his own time that he might come down and inspect the local holdings. Right? He's not saying he's coming down to get fitted for the blade. He's saying he wants to inspect the holdings, and if he has the time, he'll stop by.
Okay.
It feels like a power play. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't want to be like, oh, I'm at her beck and call. It's more like, if I'm in the area, I'll consider dropping it.
I think I think Velamris will pick up on that, but he'll also, I'm trying to remember, were we trying to do this as a gift for him or a secret surprise or whatever? Or was this...
He was looking for it in...
I knew he wanted the sword, but I couldn't remember clearly if we were trying to...
We agreed to help find one.
And he knows that we're helping him find it.
Because you asked him about it right in front of him.
Okay.
And he told you that bribing your boss is usually a good idea.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. So in that case, I will make sure he receives my read receipt, and I have nothing else to add to it. So it'll be like a Roger, okay, sort of thing. And then the only other thing is, and again, out of character, I don't remember what this meeting with the person 200 miles below the surface of the planet was for.
But we were looking to see about getting land.
Yes, yeah, that does sound like something we were trying to do.
We might have been freeing up a small island, so we were going to try to see if we could utilize it to make sure that it's being
And I think I remember that now because I remember I had recommended initially a chunk of space on the moon in order to accommodate those that might not get clearance for the ground.
Right,
and I think we decided to go with that having, I guess, a little bit of both.
We're going to try for both.
Yeah.
But we figure that the estate itself should be somewhere where outsiders can't just show up to it. It'll help protect his assets.
Right. All right. In that case, Velamris will notice that I already forgot his name. The Archmagos or whoever was talking with somebody else.
HTAC 617.
Yes, him. But he is not going to go over there because he was not invited, and he knows better. He's even been commended for it in his permanent record that he knows better.
Record.
That's the second permanent record reference I've done today, by the way.
A lot of second references today, huh?
Well, the first reference was in my prep notes for another game, so.
So yeah, I'll walk over and I'll use the pad on my forearm to type a frequency, to type like the frequency for my internal comms in my helmet, and just like a plain text message that in High Gothic that says, if I am not interrupting, if I could have a moment, and show that to them because I'm the bone rattling. Like I could probably talk using the headset comms, but I don't want to take my helmet off, and I'm sure they can tap into my comms if they want to.
So when you say this, the human one who's, I mean, are they wearing clothes? Hard to tell. They're covered in a lot of tubing and materials and pipes coming out of them. That person makes a hand gesture, and you see all of the Titans stop moving. And HTAC 617 turns toward you and says, a member of the Rogue Trader's entourage. It is good to see you. Perhaps you would like to offer some words to our Titan Legion warriors, the Princeps, the Skitari, and our new friends, old friends from across the stars of House Veroth. And as they say that last, like, House Veroth, you can hear, like, from all of the hidden microphones across the field, it's echoing. So whatever you say next is going to go out to top shit warriors.
I feel like Velamris just dodged a big bullet.
Okay.
Okay.
No, that's definitely internal dialogue. First, I wish to thank the Archmagos and the assembled and mighty forces here for the privilege of the viewing. On behalf of the Darkwind Trading House, there are a number of us who have yet to be in the presence of such mighty machines as knights and especially Titans. It has been a privilege to be here.
You can see that the Titans are slowly turning because their backs are facing you. And the Knights, as one, like, all salute you with arms. The Titans are turning and performing their versions of some kind of salute. The person speaking to the Archmagos says, "Yes, it is understood. Your mark of honor towards the Legio Titanica units here, the Titan Legion units here, is well understood, and we offer our thanks to your rogue trader."
What would he say next? Like, he wanted to ask a question, but he doesn't want to ask it over the PA.
When it's clear that you're done talking, H617 like gestures with one of their hands, and like you can hear the microphone's cut out.
That audible pop when a microphone gets turned off.
Is there something further you have to say, Rassie?
A question so I may better understand everything that I have seen today. I've never heard the term until I arrived on Titanslair. Princeps, I've heard it a few times since arriving, and I feel that it would be improper for me to remain ignorant to the meaning of the term.
H-Tac617 gestures to the person standing next to them, who says, I am Lexium Jizik Jezeth, Princeps of one of those units, and Grand Master of this Titan Legion. A Princeps is a warrior, priest who has combined themselves with the unit, understanding and merging with and dominating the machine spirit so that its god engine may be tamed. You must understand that there are rituals and esoteric and arcane secrets which I cannot share with you. But suffice it to say that it is a higher, more spiritual form of piloting a vehicle than simply sitting in a chair and operating joysticks and controls.
It sounds far more involved and difficult. It must be a great honor to be a princeps.
It is one of the highest honors that can be bestowed upon a priest of Mars.
And it is an honor to meet you, sir.
Yes, I expect it is.
Well, I thank you both for your time and the interruption. I hope it hasn't degraded efficiency too much.
Interference by auxiliary forces was accounted for in the schedule.
Thank you for your time.
You honor us. And then they turn and begin conversing again in Binaric.
Yeah, as soon as they turn and start to ignore him, that's when he walks away. Do they resume firing?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a lot of the knights basically like strafe running left and right, and the Titans are like tracking them and trying to hit them, essentially. It's like the knights are performing like wind sprints, and the Titans are essentially acting as the coach, like keep moving, but with deadly bolter blasts the size of houses.
If I hit you, you're not moving fast enough.
You could dodge a wrench, you could dodge a ball.
If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a plasma bolt.
As the group reforms, you notice that from out of the water, some like a pod has approached, almost like a watery coffin. The door flies off like several feet into the air before sailing sideways, and wearing a red robe, sitting upright, you see Luther going, the pain!
I love the fact that you screamed so much your microphone cut out.
He is screaming very loudly, sitting up Dracula style, just holding his arms up, moving them around, looking at them as if they're on fire.
Do you know that guy?
Velamris just laughs. He's like, he made it! He made it! Because I think in Velamris' head, this has been sort of a practical joke to put Luther through this. Because Velamris went through it. He's got his electus. He's also walked through the fire, so he's kind of got this like, not necessarily I'm better than you, but like I've done this. You could do it too. You'll be fine. And so he finds this all incredibly amusing in a weird, twisted sort of way.
Luther isn't getting out, and so the tide is washing his pod away from the beach out into the lagoon.
I guess we gotta go rescue him.
Yeah, I'm gonna go get Luther.
As you go get him, we're gonna take our first and only break, as this was the first half of this episode.
Half?
Yeah, it's a short episode.
I know.
Today.
I'm being I'm playing up the half instead of the third.
Okay. All right.
I knew it was
I'm
going to be
play up the fact that we're moving to the intermission screen.
We've had a really wild, crazy conversation.
I don't You told me you
It
had a
kinda
conversation
was.
about watermelon. Welcome back to the second half of the show.
You don't want to
We're
know the
talking about
rest of
watermelon, I guess. You know what? Let's go around the block here and figure out what everyone's favorite type of melon is. Velamris, Omar, favorite type of melon.
I'm not a big melon guy, so that sounds weird out of context.
You got watermelon.
I guess if I was gonna eat any melon, it would probably be watermelon, just because like some of the other melons, they're not bad or anything. They just taste different.
Zucchini counts as a melon, so does pumpkin.
Really?
Yeah.
Pumpkin.
Well, those are better in pies and breads. So
I like pumpkin seeds, but not pumpkin like the rest of it.
James, what's your melon of choice?
I will say that the watermelon is a flavor that I like when I don't like watermelon itself. Watermelon flavored candy, 100%. All over that.
People feel very strongly about that in regards to bananas as well.
Do you get nerds? Do you get nerds? I mean,
Yeah.
like the candy nerds? Yeah.
Yeah.
Watermelon nerds. Chef's kiss.
Yeah, I mean, the watermelon flavoring is stronger than the flavor of watermelon, like naturally. Like when I try to eat regular watermelon, aside from the seeds, like it just doesn't, the flavor's not strong enough. I feel like I'm just chewing on crunchy water. It feels really boring.
Have you tried celery? It's worse.
I have.
that is the definition of crunchy water.
Yeah.
Crunchy, fibrous water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The water you have to pick out of your teeth sometimes.
Hey, what is your melon of choice?
What's your choice of watermelon or choice of melon? I should
Choice
say.
of melon, yeah. I don't know if he's frozen thinking.
No, he's not frozen.
He's not frozen.
Okay.
Is he not hearing us, or is he just ignoring us?
No, we're
Amazing
waiting for
Kain.
you to answer.
We're waiting for Kain. You're the one answering. Yeah, I'm asking you what melon you like.
I said I like pumpkin seeds. I just don't like the rest of the pumpkin.
But pumpkin seed, but you didn't name a melon. You said you like the seed of. Okay, you know what?
That's the closest to liking a melon is liking the seeds of one.
All right.
Okay. All right. I'll allow that.
My answer may surprise you. My favorite melon is a pickled cucumber. Now, Americans might wonder, why did I say pickled cucumber and not just pickled? That's because outside the United States, it's called pickled cucumber. Pickle refers to type of process rather than a specific thing.
Okay.
I think future intro hour melon tier list.
Melon tier list? Oh, yeah. We'll do it the VTuber anime girl style where we have, like S tier and we get pictures of the melons. Be like, yeah, those juicy melons right there. That's my favorite.
Yeah, tierbuilder.com where you can like drag them onto the various, S tier, A, B, C, D, etc. Yeah.
Perfect.
Just curious how S ended up at the top. How did that happen?
It's an anime, it's a JRPG thing, isn't it? AP.
I don't know.
I honestly don't know.
Your S, your S plus, and your S plus plus.
No, you've gone too far.
Out of everybody here, AP I think is the most JRPG player. So
I have not watched anime in over 6 months. Okay, I've left that lifestyle behind, James. I'm sorry, I'm not that person anymore. All right,
how'd you break the habit?
I stripped off my cloak and the clasp upon it. I put it on a gravestone marker of myself, and now the western winds carry it away, and every day my cloak flutters, letting everyone know my love for anime is dead.
So how'd you break your habit?
I don't know. I was just like, man, everything on Crunchyroll sucks right now. I just don't feel like paying for it.
Isn't that the truth?
The same way I got rid of my habit of Netflix and Max and Paramount, whatever that's called.
I think it's just Paramount, isn't it?
Sure.
That awkward
Paramount
feeling.
Plus.
That awkward feeling where
Plus.
you watched all the shows that you kind of gave a shit about on a service, and you're like, well, we're done.
I'm just really mad that the Lord of the Rings Extended Edition is just moved around every few months. It's sometimes they're not even in the same place. Sometimes Netflix has the first one and then somebody else has the other two, and I'm like, who fucking signed up on this deal?
There are these things you can get called DVDs.
Yeah, I understand.
Where you can own the extended edition and watch it whenever
Blu-ray
you
is
like.
better, by the way.
I understand. But let me throw this at you. What if I don't want it in my house and I don't want to keep up the space? What if I just... James, what if I want to be
Digital
ready?
copies you can acquire.
Then you, sir, are living in a problem of your own creation.
I am living in a problem of my own creation. Thanks for pointing it out. What if you needed to be ready to leave and just go somewhere at a moment's notice? Most of my life has been lived that way, and I haven't moved in some time, but I still need to be ready to load everything of value
you are
I
an
own.
adventurer.
I feel like I need to buy the DVD for the extended edition for all three of those and put them in my go bag just to spite you.
I'll tell you my real problem. I almost bought the Babylon 5 complete series and all 6 movies DVD set, but it's $80 fucking dollars. And I'm like, $80 for that? I might pay that for Band of Brothers, but not for Babylon 5. I love Babylon 5, but come on, $80?
Is it the 90s era CGI?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
it's Babylon 5, yeah.
There's elements of Babylon 5 that I absolutely enjoy, obviously, and there are elements that I'm not too fond of, especially
the CGI was mind-bendingly good for network television.
The CGI is really good for its time. It does not hold up very well.
It holds up. This in-character argument between two tech priests is happening in the background. It holds up. You should be assigned to mandatory corrective brain surgery.
They're doing it
Foundational
in binary.
science fiction work.
They're doing it in binaric, so as the scene is slowed down so the subtitles can keep up, everyone else looks like they're just frozen in place.
They scream, and then they pause, and then the subtitles show up with just enough time for you to read it, and then it resumes, and then it pauses again, and resumes.
No, that'd be so annoying.
But I feel like anybody watching anything that was ever released in its original binaric would be, the translations are magnificent. The pausing, so seamless. You don't even know if they're not moving anymore.
Binaric, I keep thinking about the Flight of the Conchords, We Are Robots song, and with the binary solo.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Okay.
I gotta look that one up now.
It's good.
You have fished Luther out of the drink. Your whole party has been assembled here, including, Luther and new Luther, Gifinovius, who are both eyeing each other up. Gifinovius is just a little bit taller, a little bit bigger than Luther. Luther is just complaining to you guys right now. He's malding for sure. He's like, the surgery was so painful. They took my clothes. They did not return them. I'm not wearing anything under this robe.
I want to shake his hand.
Okay.
But instead of shaking his hand,
so bad. You can see he's like, oh my God, Emperor. Ah.
But instead of shaking his hand, I'm gonna grab his forearm, do the forearm handshake,
You're
and
a
I'm
horrible person.
I'm just gonna twist a little bit. Like, I'm not gonna twist anything or hurt
He's
him.
openly sobbing and weeping as he falls to his knees as you torment this young man.
And then I'm gonna clap him on the shoulder.
That hurts him so badly as well.
And I'm gonna say, I'm proud of you, Luther. Now get up, let's go. We got work to do.
All right, he struggles to get back to his feet. He's still crying, and he goes, I'm so glad you're proud of me.
We don't need to keep talking about it. I'm not even using Velamris' voice at this point, but we don't need to keep speaking of this. Let's go. We have things to do.
I understand.
This is very much last week I was with a coworker who recently had a bunch of skin tags and melanomas removed from his skin.
I was going to say
so because everybody made sure to slap him on the shoulder and the back every time he walked past.
I just want to fuck with Luther for a little bit. I normally don't do this to him. It's usually you guys.
I remember I got when I got my tattoos, like people started to wonder what was going on because when I go up to work, because that's the sort of shit we do, I suddenly was wearing my uniform top all the time in the work center when I never did, and they were like, he's never cold. What's up with this? Somebody made a good guess and just slapped my arm. It's like, you son of a bitch, you figured it out. And everyone had to make up lost time.
Glad to hear that being an asshole covers the entire planet.
Don't worry. One day Luther will be an older person, middle aged or whatever, and he will in turn be an asshole to his interns.
Omar, you are definitely of the generation that was raised by boomers. You've perfectly
Absolutely, I was.
how shit rolls downhill. You are Gen X to the core, my man.
My parents were born in 1957.
Incredible.
So yeah, I guess unless
Your
we're
whole
doing something
gang's
else,
together, you've got 5 whole people standing in a circle around a mole.
I feel like we're like on this
Robert
dirty ocean beach.
Dirty ocean? This?
No, I mean like the sand is not, let's say, dirty, but it's like that dark sand instead of the
it's
white
pristine
sands.
white sand.
Okay, it can be that, I guess.
And you can see that they have one of those flying hover platforms coming by to rake the sand that was disturbed by Luther and Rassie back into position.
I guess we should. I guess we should probably move off of the beach proper, and I'll point to the flying platform things. I'm imagining at this point, of course, that they are the combing the desert crew. It's just that they're repulsor lifts or something.
Well, we should, now that we know when this happened, because it's over, we should make our appointment.
Yes,
to discuss land for the rogue trader.
I agree.
Okay, Ephanovius does some beep booping, and he's like, the rest of the day is open for Betecro Nelt Jezeth, alchemist of the sanctified uplink, if you wish to speak to her magosness. She has arranged to send a mole.
Do we have everything we need for this request, sister?
What do we need for this? I mean, this is more Velamris. This is more things from you wanted to ask, wasn't it, in the first place?
Was
this the one we offended previously by not having an appointment made?
Nope. That was Alpha 5 Tac Hus, the mistress of the Blade Forge of Titanslair. This is the Magos who is responsible for continental redevelopment. She's responsible.
That's the one that the Archmagos pointed us to, didn't he?
So Betectro Nelt Jezith is in charge of fault lines and reassembling continental shelves after battle damage, and caring for the barrier islands is one of the tasks.
Mm-hmm. This to try and make the pitch about getting an estate on one of the barrier islands.
Yeah, because it'd been mentioned that the weather control satellites we gifted could free up some of those, make some of the functions on those islands redundant, and they could be repurposed.
Yeah,
I believe we needed to put some paperwork together, but I think we needed to do a meet first or something like that, I think.
I mean, you said that you needed to figure out what paperwork you needed to do, so we figured we'd go to the source and make the
because then we could introduce ourselves. Yes, I remember now. This was all clearly what we did yesterday or the day before. And
by us, I strongly mean not me.
I just would like for the sister to accompany, of course, speaking with people and interfacing with different organizations. I'm the technical advisor of sorts for the interacting with the Adeptus Mechanicus.
Sure. And you're also our door key, so don't worry, we're not leaving you alone.
Well, we have Luther. We have Door Key Part 2, the sequel, as I clearly make a reference to the different TV shows and whatnot that we've all been watching lately. All right, I guess we're going to hop into this conveniently placed and well-timed arrival of the Mole.
Ah, yes. The political thriller and Door Key, about turning the keys of power to the doors to the halls of politics.
I think that while this mole has been dispatched to pick us up, Rassie's like walking in a small circle, like chanting the Elysian Creed to himself a few times to try to prepare himself to go really deep underground.
Several minutes later, you can feel
an earthquake coming. Like Uber X, Uber Premium, Uber Mole,
Uber Mole.
Yeah, so the mole You see it come several feet above the surface very quickly, and then it stops, and then it slowly like finishes beaching itself. You can see that engine seers are outside, like brushing it off, making sure everything's okay, chanting, sanctifying it, and anointing it with oil, preparing it to go back down. Gifinovius presents your, writ of tickets. And there's some chanting between them. A brazier is swung over each of you. And once you've been sanctified by the holy incense, you are prepared to enter the World Forge.
Very well.
You get strapped into chairs because you're going to be seated, and your left sides or right sides will be pointed towards the ground. So they include little like blood pressure cuffs to make sure that the blood moves through your body correctly.
I think none of that is the part that makes Rassie nervous. He's used to like high G stuff and being at weird angles. He's so hyper focused on going deep underground.
Rassie, as you're freaking out, the rear door gets closed, and the whole thing begins lurching at several dozen kilometers an hour straight down. They don't even leave the lights on in the passenger compartment, so you're just in a dark metal tube surrounded by, like your chair is like vibrating like crazy. You're being shaken around. It's so loud all the time. It's basically just a nightmare journey into the earth.
I think at some point Velamris just falls asleep.
Wow.
Like I feel like in some way, like I know this from personal experience. Sometimes when it's just so loud and there's nothing to hear, the loudness becomes its own form of deafness. So you just kind of lose yourself, and then eventually he's just leaning there, and he's like, "I can actually just close my eyes." Oh.
Somebody wake Hicks.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
He's got that divorce dad energy for sure in that moment.
Rassie cannot sleep. Rassie's going to be strung out by the time we get down there.
Well, I think part of it too is just Velamris is almost like in a weird kind of way going into the earth is kind of like going back into the womb, because he lived so much of his life on a forge world, so things like this are not terribly outside of his wheelhouse. Maybe this is the first time he's going into the subsurface at such a weird angle and speed, but like just being around the Adeptus Mechanicus is normal to him.
As you arrive, you feel the whole like bolt shift to being parallel to what you would assume is gravity in the ground, and you can feel that like something has hooked into the bottom of this thing, and rather than be under its own motive force, it's not being dragged somewhere. And you can hear through the outer shell of the mole, "Set condition orange throughout the facility. Outsiders who are not anointed through our rituals and the priesthood of Mars are visiting this planet. Set condition orange." The back door of the mole pops open, and you can see that you're in like a what's the thing with Teslas called in California, under the bore or whatever. You're in basically like a ceramic tiled tube, white tube that's pulling into a station. You're like on a rail car. Your digger car is on a rail car that has pulled into an underground station that looks like Dragon Age Origins arrival at a dwarven city. There's lava everywhere. Everything is carved directly out of the stone down here. All of the Adeptus Mechanicus priests are somewhat shorter than normal, and some of them are broader than normal. Plenty of them are using like mechadendrites to grab onto chains that are, it's like zip lines that they can grab onto and then get dragged along over the lava to their destination. They're just kind of nonchalantly like reading a note pewter while also traveling at like 15 miles an hour over a lake of lava. It's like a bunch of Minecraft players, honestly. That's what you're seeing down here.
Yeah, I think when the door opens, that's when Velamris is just like, huh? Oh, we're here.
the air is so toxically poisonous. You're just like,
sure
the
it
smell
is.
is horrible. The gases are terrible.
Probably smells
I'll
like
put my
burnt
rebreather
metal. Yeah, I think that's the first thing Velamris does once he says we're here. He's like, oh, that's right. The smell. And he just reaches into his bag and pulls out his rebreather and
So now Holly sounds like Bane.
a female Bane.
Yes.
Well, Luther, where's your rebreather?
He's already got it on, I think.
Okay. I was gonna give you a chance to be like, I don't have one.
No, he's on his shit. Instead you hear him go, it hurts so much for it to rest on my face.
You didn't get any electives on your face.
You didn't get them on your they did. What did they do to me?
He's just a walking pass key now. All right. In that case, well, sister,
someone
shall
lead
we?
the way. Yeah.
I will step out and I will start looking for signs and check my.
I mean, she
electives
sent the
and
mall,
whatnot.
so hopefully she sent someone to meet us at the mall.
I mean, Gifanovius knows where you're going.
Okay. In that case, I will motion for
Yeah.
him to lead on.
He begins leading you. You can hear a loud voice booming through the facility over, like Vox casting out, like, we are beginning the testing between the two defense units. The Joint Agency Defense Initiative will begin another battle against the self-initiated theocratic Huskarls. Everyone prepare for the JEDI to battle the SITH. This will be their 1000th battle. Let us congratulate them on their return. And you can see, like, on all screens, there's just two lines of gun servitors just blasting away at each other. No tactics. They're just walking at each other over an open field. Just people dying.
That's a tactic.
I was almost there
right,
with the
that
Jedi
is a
versus Sith.
I'm just imagining from my own experience, right? Like they said condition orange because there's unanointed coming, that like over every like group of terminals or whatever, there's just like an orange strobe light
Yes,
going
there's
to
a big
remind them.
orange light. Yes.
And it's like some of the screens are turned off and
I see you've seen anything about the CIA before or military intelligence.
I was actually
I've been in skiffs, yeah.
I was just thinking actually paranoia.
Oh yeah.
Where everything's color coded for security level.
Oh yes. No. Well, I mean, I guess that might be based on how, whatever they
Well,
call
I mean,
it. The
I'm just thinking
the
like
farm
orange.
does
So
it.
now everything's got an orange cast to it because that's the
I mean,
only thing
everything
that
does
we're
have
allowed
an
to...
orange cast to it, but that's because
Yeah.
you're in an underground base filled with lava as a light source.
Yeah.
You can see, by the way, that there's someone pouring additives into the lava to make it a light source.
To make it a light source.
Yeah, to make it glow more, because lava isn't that naturally luminescent, but
Yeah,
because
yeah.
we're in Minecraft world now, we need naturally luminescent. So you can see that they're using chemical additives to the lava. You make your way with Gifanovius, passing lines of people who are clearly very annoyed that they can't do their usual work because you're here and everything's in condition orange. But no one actually says anything to you, probably because they're communicating noospherically. And you find your way to a mostly still human Magos, she's gesturing out to people and like moving things around. She is standing on a floating platform over the lava, kind of observing a giant holographically projected image of the planet that you can like manipulate and move things around. But it's not just like topographical. You can like reach in and pull sections out to be like, oh, this is what it looks like 10 miles beneath the surface, essentially. Her platform, she's not controlling the platform. Someone else like beep, boop, 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 and pulls her platform so it comes closer to all of you. As you're moving towards her, her platform's coming towards you, but you're on a pier that reaches out over the lava. James, you know what? Just imagine you're at Sydney Harbour at the queue for, just
The key?
at the quay, just right out there, except the floor is lava.
Is it like a significant drop down to lava? Like, is it like a
No,
high?
not that far. No, not at all.
I don't like the way he's like, no,
20
not that
feet.
far.
Just, you know, because lava has like, you know, an area of effect of heat as well.
Yeah, it's truly crazy what they're doing here, but this is the power of fundamentalism. Betectro Nelt Tak Jezeth turns toward all of you and says, "Ah, my guests from off-planet, I understand that you have brought for us the weather control satellites. I wish to express my admiration for your rogue traders' good deeds. Bringing back these ancient artifacts to the ones who created them is perhaps not the most honorable act, but in these trying times, your barely passing the bar must be remarked upon."
We greet you on behalf of the rogue trader Chaderius Darkwind. Rassie, greet him by name.
I'll use my keypad because I can't produce the sounds. So it'll take me a minute to mess with it to set up a first
There
transmission.
is no need for you to greet me in binaric. I speak your low Gothic well enough.
We simply wish to observe the customs here.
I understand. There is no need for such formalities. I prefer to get to the business of business. And to be honest, I do not wish for my mother tongue to be so harshly twisted by someone who is clearly unfamiliar with it.
Well, as you say, it is our pleasure to return the sacred artifacts of Mars to its care, and with a view that it will help this planet, and particularly the testing grounds. Further to this, we had we'd come on behalf of Trader Darkwind to ask whether, with the adjustments being made once these satellites in place, whether it would be possible to establish a private residence for the rogue trader on one of the soon-to-be defunct barrier islands. It would remove him from the day-to-day fare of the world, in which you know that some may perceive he might interfere, and it would also allow the rogue trader's forces to be deployed in the defence if there was some threat to the testing grounds. Obviously, he would have a personal stake in it and a reason to bring his forces back here to assist in its defence.
Make your persuasion roll.
All right. Well, I better make my first time
I've
meeting
met you
her
for
roll.
the first time, roll.
Oh, I can't die. Okay. Which is a rapport test, which I will do with a fate point. Oh,
You want to throw another one
I'll
at it?
spend another fate point to make that a
got, like,
success.
Like half an hour left in the show. You might as well use them all.
Yes, I will. I'll spend another fate point to make that a success. To get the bonus on the SL for the. So in terms of the actual negotiation here, is it haggle? Is it presence?
I think haggle for sure.
Okay.
Haggling.
So I am. Would you say I'm sucking up with Lickspittle?
Yeah, I'd say you've talked yourself into that one.
Okay.
Yeah, James, I begrudgingly give you something you've worked towards.
All right. +3.
Okay.
Impressive.
Very good success. Impressive. She says, you make excellent points across the board. I will pre-approve transfer of Barrier Island 2 to the rogue trader. She hands you a data slate and says, you may design any mansion for his use up to a value of 2 million thrones. We will have it prepared and ready by the end of day.
Is there any other? I mean, I understand your responsibilities to this world. Is there anything else that the House Darkwind could potentially provide you of service to continue our business relationship? Even if not today, then perhaps another time in the future. We simply wish to reach out and establish the trading house's interest in investing in this world and its resources.
I personally require a larger workforce.
So chattel, then human chattel to convert to servitors.
She doesn't say anything, but as she turns slightly away from you, you're getting the feeling that, you know, it's a priest of Mars. They aren't exactly the most expressive people, but she gets that you get what she's putting down.
All right. I will let the Lord Captain know. Thank you very much for your
I think
time.
as you're looking around the World Forge, you get the feeling like you actually watch someone die at one point. Like someone is physically mining at the stone and then like falls into lava, and like no one goes to help them. They're just like, another servitor died. Summon a new one, and then like a door opens somewhere, and another servitor like deploys out, and then goes and like
another servitor yells, "You were my brother!"
Wow, all the way to Star Wars, huh? Wow.
Yet another Star Wars reference comes
That
out.
was real fast.
We certainly haven't made any of those references.
That is true. That is true. I did tee that one up to some extent.
You did. Velamris is going to mention to the sister about the moon and whether or not is she the one that we would talk to about the moon, or is there another one that would be more appropriate?
I mean, her interest is in the tectonics of this barrier or this land, isn't it? Or this testing ground. Is that right, AP?
She can hear the two of you talking, and she says, "You are interested in becoming chartered resource extractors from the moon Alpha?"
We're interested in wherever profitability lies for our household, as long as that profitability enhances this world and its resources.
There are significant costs to setting up a colony on Alpha, but there are many throughout the years who have found the profit factor, as you may put it, to be well worth the time as a long-term investment. I can speak with the one responsible for the moon if you would like to petition to gain a charter. We give out plots of exactly 64 square kilometers.
I can't tell if that's a reference for Minecraft or if that's a reference for acreage or something.
I mean, that's 64 square kilometers is a lot of video games exact precise size because of the storage limitation.
Yeah, with an 8x8.
Yeah.
That would be.
All right, so she's asking if we want the
If you would
basically
like
the contact
to pay
information
to set up a colony, which would, I want you to imagine that you are right now initiating whatever it's called an endeavor in the Rogue Trader system,
yeah.
so that the Rogue Trader spends a bunch of money and gets a new colony that will have, you know, whatever it is, like population, loyalty, etc. You as crew members are creating that opportunity for the Rogue Trader while he is in quarantine.
Yeah, I mean, so like, can we get like, so we're not signing the contracts. We just want to get the contracts so that our people can review them. And
Velamris definitely doesn't want to commit to anything here on the spot because he feels like that would overstep his bounds. So.
I will have your functionary, and she turns toward Gifinovius, who immediately like bows and grovels on the floor. I will have the functionary forward the messages to you. We will have a what's the old stop? We'll have a dot matrix printer servitor dispatched when the documents are prepared. She shouts and says to someone, "Begin the ritual of PDF." And someone goes, "I shall begin the rite of PDF immediately." And they boot up Adobe and begin like filling, you know, putting in sign your name here.
I think look, if it's gonna be dot matrix, I think it needs to be WordPad. It's probably about the extent I can go to.
Okay.
I was thinking something like the rite of oh god, what is it?
Cancel the ritual of PDF. Begin the rite of DocX.
Or that, or C out, which is that's C++.
We only use Open Office here on this planet.
Open Office.
I'm imagining how appropriate it would be, though, if they started with a PDF and they did this, and then all the rites and rituals in order to move compatibility over to be able to get it out the dot matrix printer.
Until they eventually get it
comes
to
out as
no plat
rich
plus.
text format.
RTF. The machine spirit must be quelled to convert.
I just want to point out really
sacred
quick that this
rituals
show,
to try to maintain formatting as they keep degrading.
I just want to point out, I don't think this is what AP originally meant when he said office humor.
This is exactly what I meant when I said office humor. You've been a part
I just
of
wanted to
this
make
show.
the office comment, to be honest with you.
Nothing could be more recognizable in real life than converting a PDF into another form of document and just going, fuck it, get an IT guy to do it, I guess. Let me upload this confidential information to a free public online source to switch document types.
So I'm sorry to break the game flow again, and I know we need the end, but I have to tell you this story from my actual office job today.
Please.
Where so I turned to work, and I have an electric car, and there were 2 charging stations downstairs, but one of them was in use, and the other one I can't connect to because to connect to it you have to scan a QR code, and the screen has had like a burn on it where the QR code is now like incomplete, so you can't. An incomplete QR code is worth nothing. But I've managed to work out the QR code just produces like a text field that tells the app what the like serial number of the unit is. And I managed to get from the back of the device its serial number. So I went to my desk to create a QR code using a QR code creator for that text format, which I did. And I scan it with my phone on my computer, but because you have to be in range of the device to add it. So then I went to go and print off the QR code, but the only office printer is out of toner, and nobody in the office could tell me where the toner is. Like at the point I came into this to start this game, I'm still trying to find where the toner is for the office printer because no one prints anything anymore. So yeah, that's my real world, stupid office environment situation.
That's fantastic.
It sounds like
just so I can charge my car, which has been sitting downstairs now for 3.5 hours not charging.
James is working for the Proto Adeptus Mechanicus, of course. You've completed all
just
of
for
your
a quick second.
Okay. You've completed all your tasks on planet that you've let me know about, and this Magos is ready to send you to any point on the surface that can be reached by Mole when you're ready to leave and let her drop condition orange.
Well, I guess we need to know because we want to basically start we're here to trade and make money, right?
Yeah.
So I guess we need to know where to go to start. Where because outsiders don't come to the world so much. So where is most of the mercantile trade done?
At the capital from Cardinal Altar, but
okay.
I feel like there could definitely be a role here to figure out what the trade goods from the planet, like what the general scheme of trading is. I'm just not sure
there'll be things that they export and things they import, and there'll be some, at a broad scale, and there'll be like a much smaller scale individual needs thing.
What skill would you propose?
I mean, the only real sort of business skill, I guess, is haggle, but that's more of a personal skill. You've got, obviously, laws, logic potentially. Yeah, I think somewhere in that wheelhouse.
I think
either
logic,
a law,
investigation.
Or haggle.
I think several of these are good. I think awareness, logic, investigation, lore is probably pretty good. Especially,
are you trying to make like a trading roll or something?
We're trying to
work out like
the
trade schemes on this planet, really. Like what do they buy? What do they sell?
What are you buying? What are you selling?
I'm landing on intuition as an option because of
interesting.
Like I'm actually going to.
I mean, this is kind of a speculative trade that you're trying to set up, right?
No. All we're trying to find out is like what their regular trade pattern is, so we know where you fit into it. And I'm actually going to deploy Velamris to this particular role because I think this is somewhere where his data search ability would really come in.
Yeah.
Like, to pull records of past trades.
Yeah, look for history, look for trends.
All right.
So maybe we go back to the where the dropship is, so we can transmit up that so that Holly can transmit up because that is coming down through the comm officer. That we've acquired land for the transfer of the estate and estate assets, and that up to what was it, 2 million throne worth of mansion can be set up for this.
Well, they need to know today, don't they? She wanted to know now what the design is.
Yes.
Yeah, so we need to sit down and Sims 3 this basically and work out what our design is for his house.
I will take a tech engineering role.
For the house.
All right.
Yeah, for the house.
Is this something that Luther 2 could do for us?
Gifinovius?
Yes.
Yes, he can.
Is there any?
I will now make the roll for him.
Is there ways that we
wait?
can
I am going to use attentive assistant to give him advantage on this roll.
All right.
And I have a requirement. I need a lot. Obviously, the best room is for the Inquisitor, but I want to make sure that I have a room in this house and that it's also quite substantial. As
Do we all get rooms in this?
Yes,
in this house?
but my room is better.
Sure. I think Velamris won't care about that. He just wants enough room for himself, and
I believe with advantage, a 51 becomes a 15.
15, correct.
Okay, this is a.
And I'm looking for, before you give results, because I want to talk, like we're talking at this poor guy while he's trying to put this design together.
we're all just laying it on him too. It's like we won't shut up. He's trying to tell you to keep up.
Like it needs to be a defensible, like there needs to be like the basic defenses for the estate, but I want there to be like a bunker barracks for the 143rd.
Understood. So he was designing like sweeping Gothic seaside resort with like huge windows, and like you guys would have your own wing with a pool, and he's erased that, and now it's got like anti-aircraft dual-purpose guns, and there's crenellations on
what about a castle? You're just making a big giant palace?
Wire along all the beaches.
No, like it's the really nice building in the middle, but then there's like this wall around that can be pushed up on hydraulics.
Palace. I see.
Yeah.
We're gonna do a little Escobar here. Yeah.
So there's like
at some point when one of you guys comes to Sydney,
so it's out of the way.
I'll put you on a ferry and we'll go past Kimberley House, which is where the Prime Minister lives in Sydney, which is this beautiful Gothic mansion, but it has this little squat building next to it, which is where all the sort of like police, special forces, and secret service type people that sit there are ready to sort of rapidly deploy from, a few meters from this beautiful building. So
like that.
We need like the little sort of
that little building is the entrance to the bunker underneath, and there's like a hydraulic deployable wall on the property.
This is like Homer designing his own car. We're just yelling extra things at this.
That's exactly it. Because now Velamris wants his own like a quiet study with a whatever the 40K version of, a computer with world internet access so that he can always pull up information from everywhere.
So here's what happens is that in order to do that, Gifinovius has to take space from Rassie's room. But because Holly always has to have the biggest and best room, he also makes a 1 meter square larger version of it at Holly's room and takes more space away from Rassie's room as a result. So Rassie's room is now like 30% smaller than either of your rooms.
I just look at Rassie.
Rassie's going to think this is like the most palatious he's ever, like, this is amazing.
I think Velamris at one point he's just going to clap Rassie on the shoulder and be like, "Well, you're a small guy. I think you'd be okay with a lot less room."
A 2 by 7 meter room that has two indentations for.
But that's what I was thinking. It's all about. He thinks in terms of square meterage, so it doesn't matter. Even if it's like 2 by 7, it's like effectively a corridor. That's still right.
It just needs to be wide enough to fit a cot and some clothing racks, and hang his uniform on,
and a snack bar. He needs a snack bar.
No, he'll find places to stick snacks.
Have you seen the snacks this guy carries around with him? Hey, speaking of which, you got one of them. You got one of them bars.
Yeah, he like reaches into a pocket, pulls out a corpse starch bar, reaches in another pocket, and there's like a half full mini bottle of Tabasco sauce.
The Tabasco came back. Okay, Velamris, let's talk about your data search. What skill is that involved?
Lore.
Okay.
And I believe I get advantage without any fate because that's one of my abilities. Data Delver.
And because I'm trained, I can also give you +1 SL.
Sure. Oh no, I just typed 1, not +1. And then advantage and roll it.
Wow. The 91 turned into a 19. That's big. So that's a +6 success. So yeah, I mean, that's huge.
Well, I put the +1 SL in there.
Oh,
so
okay. So +5 is still pretty good.
Yeah.
It's still pretty good. Still pretty good. Good enough.
If you got fate left, you make it +6. We're almost done.
I can. Yeah, I absolutely will. Because, yeah.
All right. I'll have to give you something for that +1 if you're going to pay for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. So it wouldn't surprise you to know that they do a brisk trade with the Moon Alpha. Bulk mineral carriers pick up unprocessed minerals on the moon and then bring it down. They basically fall from the atmosphere and land the bulk carriers in the water and then float them back to the surface. You know, it's like the laziest process ever, and then fire them via giant railguns back into orbit where they land on Alpha and start their life again. Yeah, they bring in a bunch of raw, unprocessed ores, which are then processed into metals and materials. But they're also unusually, like, they're bringing in enormous amounts of chemicals from off-world. And it seems like these bulk chemical transports arrive, like, some planets, they arrive, like, once every year. Sometimes they arrive every 5 years. I think it surprises you a little bit, Velamris, that there's a pretty regular every 3-month transport from your home planet of, like, sulfuric acid and other chemicals that apparently they can't get locally without, like, special processing. But overall, the thing that, like, this planet sells people is ammunition, right? Like, they create Titans, they create the weaponry needed for other people's Titans, and that is all handled within the Adeptus Mechanicus, right? Like, there's no public records of that stuff. But when people stop by this planet, they're getting one of two things: repairs or ammunition. And this planet sells an enormous, like, truly titanic amount of ammunition. And not like Titan grade ammunition. We're talking like small arms, like las rifle cartridges, stubber pistol ammo, bolter rounds. All of that stuff is being processed on planet and then set off in huge bricks.
I have an idea that make this planet more profitable already.
Velamris has an idea about mining minerals and shit on the moon for.
And what does it import? What's the primary imports?
So it imports
the sulfuric acid. It imports
chemicals specifically, but sulfuric acid from Escustax, yeah. And it's also importing an enormous amount of pure water.
Is the colony self-sustaining in terms of food? Does it make its own food?
Not even remotely. And the other thing that it brings in regularly, it doesn't import them, but it brings in replacements, which, as you already know, are chattel. Like, they go through a lot of servitors because they're like a gun servitor testing ground, where they're testing, like, here's how we make a 0.5% more efficient gun servitor. It will only cost us 20 years and 1 million dead servitors, but we've made this brand 0.5% more efficient. What a huge increase.
So they import food and water.
Yes, and chemicals and people.
What above the board, what was the final answer on Pops? Was he able to set up
Pops can
within the Imperium?
The rogue trader will not allow him to operate on his ships, but
Correct.
He will allow him to franchise in the Imperium. And I believe you guys did all that paperwork.
Yeah, and we expedited that paperwork too, I believe. So that sometime, maybe by the time Velamris has grandchildren, the paperwork will be complete and filed back at Terra.
With that said, now with no extra rolls needed, if you set Pops up on something like the Moon of Alpha, like his own trade shop, and just quickly processing dead orcs into foodstuffs, that would be an enormous business opportunity for him.
Yes.
That's what I'm
and so
thinking.
Velamris is going to recommend to Holly when he shows this information and gives a brief or whatever on it, that one, Pops gets involved with the food, and that the rogue trader specifically benefits from extraction of the minerals and whatnot and selling it back to the Adeptus Mechanicus here. And will also note that if we could set up a trade or set up a ferry service of some sort with a scooch tax to convey the sulfuric acid, that's a possibility of profit for the rogue trader as well.
Now they already have a ferry service because it arrives pretty regularly, about every 3 months, even with warp.
We can look into how timely that is, if that's good enough for them, or if they need something better, months. or either time or volume. Which if we increase or decrease, like how can we maximize that for the Adeptus Mechanicus and how to make a profit from it?
I've got to get up and walk away in 2 minutes. So if you want to do any sort of outro, now's time to do it.
25 experience points to everybody right now, and give yourself 5,000 Imperial Solars as a bonus from your overlords. Your son of Robute Gilliman has awarded you a bonus for getting this wonderful island for his boss, and including crenellations and defenses in it is always going to be a Ultramarine Successor Chapter plus. I mean, you know, I don't remember which Primarch it is that loves sieging people, Rogel Dorn. Love building siege defenses, but yeah, Ultramarines also
Dorn loves defenses, and not Fresh Man, it's the Iron Skulls one.
Yeah, the bad guy.
Sorry?
The
bad guy loves
Iron Warriors.
Iron Warriors, sorry, Iron Warriors, yeah, he likes creating sieges or breaking sieges.
Is that Perturabo?
Perturabo, that's it. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, turns out that semi-retired Space Marine also loves having a fully defensible mansion.
So, would getting the way that we got these extra things put in the design for the mansion, would this constitute impressing our temporary boss man?
Yes.
Okay, that is my short-term goal, is to try to impress him.
Is everyone good for next week?
Good.
Fantastic. Yes. We got James out of here on time. Goodbye, audience.